today we're going to make these really cute fall pumpkins. We found a pattern online, free pattern, so all the written instructions are there. We'll have the link in the description. But you're going to need fabric and wool felt or a stick, scissors, needle and thread, a little scrap of plaid fabric, and your polyfill stuffing. The measurements are going to be on their website for which size you need. This one's 10.5 by 20.5. And you're going to fold the fabric in half, and you're going to sew a straight line across this short end here. Okay, so once you've finished sewing, you're going to flip it right side out. And you're going to get your thread ready. I'm using just regular Metler thread here. I did find that it was easier when I did it with embroidery floss, so if you have that, that would be great. I just had this color that matched really nicely, so I'm gonna snip a little piece there. And this is a really fun knot that I do. I've seen it called the quilter's knot, and I've also heard it called the away knot. So what you do is you thread your needle, and then you take your end and you kind of wrap it around your needle a few times, and then you slide that all the way down to the end, and it makes a nice big knot. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to make gathers in the bottom of the pumpkin. So you're going to do a running stitch about 1/4 inch from the cut edge, and you're just gonna go all the way around. So once you get to the end, you're going to cinch up those gathers. Make sure all of them are tucked into the inside of the pumpkin. There's definitely a little bit of fiddling that you'll need to do. I actually found it was helpful to flip the pumpkin back inside out for this part, so that I could see all of the raw edges and make sure they were all tucked into the inside. And you can do lots of knots here. Nobody's going to see the inside. They are pumpkin guts after all. And just to make sure that those gathers aren't going anywhere, I actually did a few stitches across this area. I made sure all of the raw edges were inside, and then I just did a few stitches back and forth across the inside. Just to keep it all nice and secure. So you're going to flip your pumpkin back right side out, and now it's time for filling. So we use polyfill stuffing in the store. You might have some left over from another project. So stuff it in there, not over full, not too tight, because you want to still be able to sew through the center for the next part. So get kind of like a moderate amount of stuffing in there, and we're going to get our needle and thread out, do our little quilter's knot, and then we're going to do the gathers again at the top. So basically the same thing. So that's a running stitch all the way across the top of the pumpkin, about 1/4 inch from the edge. Okay, so once you get to the end, You're going to cinch it up just like you did for the bottom, but don't tie it yet. You're going to see if you need a little bit more stuffing, give it a little squeeze and see what it needs. And once you've got enough stuffing, you're going to set it aside and we're going to work on the stem. So this time I decided to make my stem out of wool felt. You could make your stem out of twigs from outside, which is what I used last time, or you could even use cinnamon sticks, which would be really nice for fall. So what I did was I cut a piece of wool felt. I think it was about a 3x3 or 4x4 inch square. And I just rolled it into this little tube and did a whip stitch to hold it all together. You could also do a blanket stitch if that's what you prefer. And you're just going to work this all the way up that seam to hold it all together. Some pins or wonder clips would also be super helpful here. So once you're finished stitching up that stem, just tie a little knot and hide your thread in there. And then you're ready to add it to the top of your pumpkin. So now we're going to cinch up the gathers. I kept a nice long tail for this. And you're going to carefully pop your stem in there. And we're just going to tie off the gathers, and then we're going to go back and secure the stem in place. So using the tail that I've got, I'm threading it onto a needle, and I'm just going to go back and forth across the stem, making sure to catch a little bit of the fabric each time, just to kind of secure everything in place so that the stem doesn't pop out. If you're using a twig or a cinnamon stick, you'll have to go back at the end to just secure it with glue, because you won't be able to sew it in place. So now we're going to make the sections of our pumpkin. So you have your thread coming out at the top, and you're going to wrap it around the side of the pumpkin and put your needle back in through the center bottom. And you're going to have to squeeze your pumpkin a little bit in order to grab the needle back out the top. And make sure you pull that nice and tight. Again, it's easier with embroidery floss because it's a little stronger for hand sewing. And I'm going to tie that, each time I make a section, I like to tie it to the tail just to secure it. Otherwise, your thread gets loose and your sections will kind of loosen. So tie it after every section. Okay, now we're going to make another one. So bring that thread from the top around the side, and you're going to go into the bottom of the pumpkin. And it's nice not to have it too tight and full, because then you can really squish it to get it to come out of the top. I found that 3 or 4 sections looked really nice, but you can always do more sections. You can also fill your pumpkin a little bit more, making a tighter, more round pumpkin, but I really liked this kind of fluffy, soft looking pumpkin. So now all you have left to do is tie off your loose threads and grab your little strip of fabric and tie it around the stem of your pumpkin. I trimmed the ends on a diagonal to make it sort of like a little ribbon. And there you have a cute little pumpkin ready for October. Have fun making one.